They say, congratulations, you progress to the next stage of your studies with DMU. Now check that. Okay, let's do this. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for joining me once again back to my channel. My name is Belinda, and if you've not already subscribed, please don't forget to press the subscribe button as well as turn on the notifications bell so you get a notification every time I upload. So I've got a series of videos that I'm planning to do, and I'm gonna do them in order, obviously. This is my first year Etoilette, and I've got my second year one here and then my third one here as well. Okay, and in this video I'm going to be discussing with you what you need to know, what you need to expect, as well as tips and advice of being a first year nursing student. So if you are interested in this video, keep on watching. So you are already in your first year, or you are still waiting to start nursing in your first year, there's a series of expectations that you are expected to accomplish, and you might not know about it at this point in time, and that's all right, because I also didn't know about it. So I'm going to share with you guys some few tips and advice, as well as personal experience, both academic as well as on clinical placements, and what you are expected to know as well as what you are expected to do. So let's start discussing with academics. Academics in the first year does not count towards your final mark. Okay, listen to this, it does not count towards your final mark. The very first mistake I did when I first started is I used all my energy, all my strength into passing year one, until not knowing they were actually saying that, you know what, sorry, but your first year mark doesn't count towards your final mark. And then you're thinking, so try and keep as much energy as you can. Obviously I'm not saying fail, but don't break your back in year one, because there is no point. You need all the energy that you need in year two. Year one, obviously you need to pass both your clinical placements as well as your academic at the same time. And I don't know how other universities work. However, the university I'm going to, you have to be able to achieve a minimum of 40% passing as well as just a simple pass. So some universities I know are categorizing different levels of passing on clinical placement. You are not aiming for a distinction or a merit. However, with us on clinical placements, you just have to simply get a pass or a fail, and that's the end goal. So how hard can that be? So, and I'm going to discuss a bit of modules that we had in the first year. So in the first year we had a mathematics exam, where you needed to get an average of 80% to pass. And then the mathematics exam that we had was quite, I found it difficult. However, what I did know is that, you know, you had to practice. You need to be aware of conversions, so converting milligrams into grams, grams into kilograms, all of those things, and we weren't allowed to use a calculator for that. So you need to already know your conversion prior to entering the exam room. Obviously you get a few practice papers from previous exams. Then afterwards we had a exam. So we had a scene exam. Yes, so we had a scene exam on biology and anatomy. They gave us a few long essay questions and we had to answer that. Now the way it was is the fact that we knew what the module was about. They gave us study material. However, we did not know the question until 2 weeks prior to the exam. So basically you've got a whole 2 weeks to study and cram, if that's what you're good at, and then afterwards move on to that. Thereafter we also had case study that we had to do. So basically we had to find a patient on our clinical placements on our first year and really analyze their situation. So at that point in time, if you've not already watched, I was doing mental health nursing. So I did a case study on a patient who had depression as well as bipolar. That was the holistic one. Then we had a summative as well as a formative. So the summative assignment was just 3,000 words. However, the summative assignment was 1,500. So that was the first part. Then we handed it in. It didn't count towards our final mark. However, the lecturers did manage to mark it and give us feedback on what they think which path we are on, which was actually quite nice. and then we had to do the formative. So the formative was the final piece of the summative. So that one was for our final mark. So obviously your first year does not count towards your final mark. Now I didn't know that. I wish I knew that at the beginning. Maybe I didn't listen properly, who knows. So my advice is to anybody who is going into the first year, who is in their first year already, don't break your back. You save your energy for second year, because you will be needing it, because it gets more intense towards the second year. But I'll discuss that in another video. So the academic wise in the first year, I must say, was pretty easy. So I'm not really gonna go into details with that, because you know what, at the end of the day, if you failed, you do get an opportunity to rewrite your assignment, so that is a good thing. However, clinical placements on the other hand could be different. So if you've never done a 12-hour shift before, most definitely in your first year you will be doing your 12-hour shift, depending on also where you are placed. So I had my first clinical placement in a GP surgery, so I was there from 9 o'clock till 4:30, 4 days a week. That lasted me for 7 weeks. So that was my shift pattern for my first one, which was not too hard and it wasn't too busy. GP surgery is really laid back, relaxed. The hours are great and it's not fast paced as such. However, when I went on to doing my first hospital placement within the NHS, I went to a psychiatric hospital and that place was hectic. So if you're not used to doing a 12-hour shift, or if you've never done a 12-hour shift before, it is a big adjustment to get used to. You are gonna be doing nights and days. Mostly you will be doing days, because nights there's not much of learning outcomes that are available for you to achieve. However, they will try and place you on nights as well to get the hang around of it. So one thing that is more harder, I think, at this point is where you have an assignment as well as clinical placement, and they're basically together clashing each other, which is 99.9% the case, that you are going to have an assignment while you are on clinical placement. So that's one thing that I have picked up throughout my nursing course. The last one I had was a nursing home, which was an 11-week placement. So if you actually do the calculation, 50% of the time we were out on clinical placements and the rest we were at the university. So I'm going to tell you guys in regards to your document what you need to know. Matter of fact, I'm going to fetch it. So here I've got my first year's nursing portfolio. Basically this consists of all my clinical placements as well as my academic stuff. So obviously you're gonna need a skills logbook. So these are all the skills that you have achieved or that you will need to achieve. So you've got here year 1, year 2 as well as year 3. Those are basically all your end year points and are compulsory for you to get them achieved or to achieve them before moving on. If you do not achieve them, that will be classified as a fail and you will fail your clinical placement. Now, my advice to anybody who is going out on clinical placement is on your skills log and your learning outcomes that you have to achieve, because you will need to know what you are doing and how you're going to go into it. Say now you are placed in a medical ward and there's certain learning outcome that you feel that you cannot accomplish in your medical ward. These are the things that you can discuss with your supervisor at the very first meeting. Throughout your placements, you've got your initial meeting, mid meeting, as well as your final meeting. So these are the things that you're gonna try and talk to your supervisor about. And my advice to you is, do not wait for your supervisor to come to you with the books. Go to them, because they don't have time to be chasing you, and at the end of the day, whether you've got a signature or not signature, it's immaterial to them, because they are busy, they've got their own work to do. So try to be as organized as you possibly can. So you've got your skills logbook, like I said, that you need to sort out. Now in your year 1, there's not as many skills that they want you to achieve. Mostly in your year 1, you will have direct supervision from your mentor. So mostly it is observation. They are going to allow you to do certain things, but to a minimal. I remember when I was in my first year, what did I do? I gave vaccine, as well as did a few dressings, grade sores, removed sutures, but everything was directly supervised. Thereafter, you've got some questionnaires. I don't know if most universities have it, service user questionnaires, if they're happy with the services that you are giving them as a student nurse. They have you interprofessional student nurse diary. This basically is a diary for anything new that you have learned. So you write on what date, what they like, and then the mentor will read it and sign you off. That book basically lasts you throughout your 3 years, but I just wrote at least 1 or 2 per placement. Thereafter, you've got a book to say whether you have passed or failed. If you've got anything that the mentors are not happy about, they will try and raise it with you in your mid-meeting. Thereafter, you've got between your mid-meeting and your final meeting to improve it. So if you are running late maybe, or you're not wearing the correct uniform, whatever the case may be, your supervisor will more likely draw up an action plan. Now, action plans are not always a bad thing. They might be a good thing as well, because you've done something good or bad. The action plan is always required in order to improve. At the beginning is you're gonna have a induction. So normally, I don't know how other universities work, however, all the clinical placements that I've had prior to starting my clinical place, we've always had induction about what the hospital is about what the ward that you're working on is about, what is expected of you, what opportunities are available for you as a student nurse to get on that placement. Okay, yeah. So like I said, first year was super easy. I think the thing with first year is you want to have a positive attitude. Now, when I say positive attitude, is I've heard many students complaining about the fact that they feel unappreciated or undervalued. My advice is just get in there and do what you have to do. Don't worry about feeling undervalued or not recognized. At that point in time, you shouldn't even be worried about recognition, because you're a student. Okay, you just have to do what you need to do in order to pass. Although sometimes you might feel like there's nothing much for you to do, try to have as much initiative to work independently. Now, when I say work independently, don't wait for your mentor or supervisor to always tell you what you need to do. Work according to your own accord. If the buzzer is ringing, don't wait for somebody else to stand up yourself and go and attend to that buzzer. If a patient needs assistance with personal care, don't say, oh, I'm here with the nurse to do medication, because what I found is many student nurses, they're always under the impression that it's all about medication, and unfortunately that's not the case. It's not all about medication. Okay, truth of the matter is you would want to have the healthcare assistants on your side, because I have seen this countless times where healthcare assistants are basically the ones giving the report back to your supervisors to say, that student nurse says she can't wash people because she's giving out medication, she's doing the paperwork. Leave that, forget about that, and go and help. Okay, first year, like I said, it wasn't a lot. It was just basic things. And first year, you could say that you get a lot of support for supervisor, because obviously it's your first year on placement. However, it changes towards your second year. So if you're going on clinical placement, you want to prepare yourself. When I say prepare yourself, I'm not just talking about mentally prepare yourself, but physically prepare yourself. Try to get enough sleep. Now, I remember from my own experience, not going to sleep on time. I think I went to sleep like past 11 like that, and I literally had to wake up at 5 o'clock, and throughout the day I was like nodding off. That's the last thing you want to do, because once they catch you nodding off, I think I was lucky. However, you do get them nurses that make a big deal out of it. So just try and get as much sleep as you possibly can, so you can be wide awake and be full of energy, focused as well, have the ability to concentrate. You're confident and comfortable to do something with the supervision of a qualified nurse, then by all means take it, because the whole point is the nurse is there to guide you. However, if you are one of them students who never wants to do anything because you are scared this might go wrong or that might go wrong, you have to take a leap of faith. So if you're in a situation where you've got children, you would want to sort out your child care at the beginning, because people don't want to hear, sorry I'm late because I had childcare issues. People don't want to hear that. Sort out your childcare. That is what the finance is there for, parents with children. At the end of your mid-placement, if you don't know, you will have to write a reflection. So basically, you write reflections according to your learning outcomes. That's why it's important to observe. By the time you write reflections, you know what's happening. Now, if you're going to start writing reflections, I wouldn't leave my reflections until the last minute. I would literally start writing my reflections, if possible, the very first week that you started placement, because if you leave it until last, you've got a whole lot of reflections to write at the last minute, which is quite overburdening, and you will have already forgotten as to what happened and how and when. And that's the important information that you will need to remember when you're writing your reflections. So everybody's experience is different. First year will make you realize whether nursing is for you or it's not. and it will make you realize whether this course is something that you want to continue with or not. The truth of the matter is you're not going to enjoy all of your placements. So although you're going to have one bad placement, doesn't mean that all your other placements are going to be crap. It all varies from placements to placement, and as well it varies from you as well what you're going to take away from it. Okay, if you find yourself in a position where you find it really difficult, sometimes you just need to put that extra effort in to pass. Every person is different and every person excels academically wise differently. So if you are in a position where you feel like I'm not making it, yourself that extra push to keep going. Basically, this was my learning experience throughout my first year, both academic and clinical wise. To be honest with you, if you had asked me, I would have said year 1 was the craziest, but you know what? Year 2 was the craziest, and I will tell you guys this in my next video. So yeah, this brings me to the end of my video for my first year experience. Very interesting. So I hope you like it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will hopefully see you guys in my next video. Bye.